every worker in frontline industry is different.
Right.
So either I have to just focus on one of these industries so that I can have a fixed product,
Yeah.
right? Or I need to build so many products.
Right.
So we took the approach of building so many products, but in a way where like engineers are not involved.
Hi there, I'm Vishesh, your host. I'm a 5-time founder, ex CTO, and now building my sixth venture, 71. Our first product, Jerry, helps founders run an inbound led outbound motion, helping them turn content into warm leads without being spammy or breaking LinkedIn terms of use. You can check out Jerry at tryjerry.com. In this episode, I'm joined by Shubham Choudhary, co-founder and CTO of FirstWork, who is using his extensive experience at Rippling and Deel to reshape the frontline HR tech space. In this episode, we unpack how he's using agentic AI, a custom rules engine, and battle-tested global compliance experience to outpace incumbents with lean teams and real-time automation, all while closing enterprise AI pilots at scale. Hey, hi Shubham. Thanks for joining me on the podcast.
Hello, Agnesh.
Yes. So you are based in Dubai, your team is based in India, and your co-founder is in the US.
It's on the road, so US, London, everywhere.
And we are recording on a Saturday. After a long time, I am actually recording on a Saturday, and you're the first CTO, so there are some changes to this episode.
Amazing.
And hopefully, we will play with the format as well. Probably toss the outline out the window.
It's all this to do a random conversation.
No, I'm just kidding. So thanks for joining me on a Saturday. Do you want to give a little bit of, background on yourself? So you started, you've spent time both at Deal and Rippling, high intensity jobs, um, and you've also done 2 startups. This is second. A brief background on what FirstWork is, why are you solving this problem now, and what made you take the leap?
Sure, I'll start about something about my introduction first. So, yeah, hello everyone, Shubham. I'm the co-founder and CTO of FirstWork. Before this, I worked at Deal as a director of engineering, managing products like PEO, global mobility, time tracking, all around HR tech. Prior to that, again, senior engineering manager at Rippling was there, started there at the very early 2019 when Rippling was just Series A. Been there for like 4 years, build like the PO product for which got 4 patents. We have 4 patents on the PO product itself. Then also build the EOR, which is employer of record, which put Rippling on the global world map. So initially Rippling was just focused on the US HR tech. And now Rippling is into the global where like they do EOR for like almost 80 plus countries now and global contractors as well for all around the world. And and then before that, I've worked in a bunch of other startups, had one for like almost like 2 years of my own as well, which was into e-commerce of construction materials. Had to close it after the demonetization. Lots of cash was involved in real estate and demonetization happened. About FirstWork. So at FirstWork, we are building AI agents for HR tech and especially for seasonal frontline workers. The seasonality so frontline workers, I think so everyone understands it's you can talk about like nurses, gig workers, truck drivers, anywhere where the white collar people are not involved.
Right.
Those are called as frontline workers. Why we are focused more on the seasonality part of it is that lots of high scale hiring happens for seasonal businesses. Like example in US during Christmas, Black Friday, e-commerce boom is there. So many people are purchasing from e-commerce, gifting their friends and all. Lots of courier delivery happens. And hence, if you see all big courier delivery players hire almost like 30 to 40% more staff. Okay. Even in the US job analysis, if you see, it has a clear graph, like it goes up really well during the peak season and then it goes down, and that's about like 30 to 40%. So yeah, that's what we are doing. We are helping these companies who hire very fast. We help them and manage all their frontline workforce.
Right. And so the startup was before the your first startup was before the enterprise gigs.
Yes. So in 2015 it was.
And then you joined these big companies when they were
Rippling was
startup.
not big. Rippling was just Series A. Deal, I joined it when Deal was quite big.
Two HR tech back to back. Was this the inspiration for FirstWork, or how did you arrive at the problem statement itself?
So seriously, yes, I love HR tech very much. Reason being, one common thing is there is that HR tech was very old school if you compare like 5, 6, 7 years before. HR tech has been there if you see for the last 50, 60 years, where like even if someone is paying you money manually, that I would consider as little bit of HR tech if it is even mentioning it in the registers and all.
Right.
But there has been a huge change in the last 5, 10 years with very new sophisticated softwares being built for them. And one thing which has missed this HR tech wave is the frontline industry. So all the big software, like example, the top three of the HR tech companies are in the top 10 of the YC batches, YC companies. So Gusto, Rippling, Deal. All three are HR tech in the top 10 of YC companies. But all three only work for the white collar industry.
I see.
Okay. So there's a gap where like such big companies with such huge revenue, you can consider Workday as well, which is again predominantly in the white collar space only. So all have been in the white collar, but none of them have been able to crack this frontline blue collar industry. And I firsthand experienced that while working at Rippling and Deal as well, where huge customers like frontline industry customers used to come, and because the scale was so high for them and so fast, new users needs to be added or new users need to be let go, that these platforms are not able to handle it. And hence, yes, these two are the inspiration to build another HR tech for me.
You don't have the same co-founder that you had in your first startup, right? So how did you guys meet? Did you meet at Rippling or?
No, so we actually met through the Y Combinator co-founder matching platform. So Y Combinator has a platform. It's like
No kidding. It
Tinder
has
for
been useless for
co-founders.
me.
So it's like Tinder for high value people who wants to start.
Right.
I met few people there and was very lucky to meet Vardhan. He is originally from Dubai itself and used to work in Singapore, so he used to do lots of up and down in Dubai. So we met for 2, 3 times, and I think so. He also has a like similar profile like me. So he was like heading Remitly Asia Pacific division. So both of us have the same risk appetite, I would say. That also really is important, and we complement each other in terms of the skill set which we bring.
Right.
Another thing very much important for me while finding the co-founder was connections. So the learning from my last startup was you should have lots of connection, and it's in the tech industry, non-tech industry, everywhere. These kind of connections really help you.
Right.
That kind of also says you are really good with people and people like you and they love to work with you. So
Right.
you get lot of check marks there.
Right.
So these were the main reasons me and Vardhan actually clicked at the beginning, and then the another part came with the industry. So yes, I wanted to like I had huge understanding about the HR tech.
Right.
He had a huge understanding about the front line, and actually, if you see, we both didn't had any idea about what we want to build when we first met, but based on what all are our strengths, accordingly we created something which is FirstWork.
Wow. So you met him, both of you had no idea, but you knew you wanted to work together. And that's how you started?
We both wanted to start something.
Right. Right.
Usually,
Right.
when this I tell to other co-founders as well, it's not about like you get a really interesting idea and then you start,
Then you start.
right?
Yeah.
Ideas can change. In YC, almost 40% of companies pivot,
Yeah.
right? So it's not about the idea; it's about your mindset. You're ready to build something up, and then if you get a right co-founder, that's the time you start brainstorming. So we brainstormed around like for 5, 6 months. We talked to a lots of customers, you can say potential customers, it could be startups. We even talk to like very big public companies as well to understand what kind of problems they are facing, and then actually ended up with the first work idea.
I see. When did you know that you're committed as a co-founder, or did you have a trial run? It's not like you're college friends. You don't know each other that well when two people don't know each other when they meet on YC or any online platform for that matter.
So no, so we actually met personally in Dubai as well. So he used to visit with Dubai for multiple number of times. So we had face-to-face interactions almost like 3-4 times, but predominantly it was online itself.
Yeah. And no, but so the question was, when did you know that you're committed as a co-founder? Like, how many dates did you go on before popping the question?
See, so because I'd earlier started another company, I was always in that frame of mind that I need to build something of my own as well.
Right.
It's just about the right, I would say, you find a right person and then you could start. You get that confidence itself. It was never the case like I am stuck into a role, whatever I'm working on. If something new comes up, I need to be open, right? And that's why even at Rippling Deal, I used to talk to a lot of people about the new technologies in the market, the new startups which are there. It's good to have healthy discussion about the startup world always, right? And then yeah, it clicks. It's basically yes, you like the person, you start thinking around it. Like we met in November, December, but eventually to have a decent idea around what we want to build, it took us like 2-3 months by talking around like what is going around in the market and those kind of stuff.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. The reason why I'm asking these questions is because I was dating co-founders last year on the same platform, and I met a few interesting sales folks. One of them was like, "Would love to explore further, but we don't have any idea. We need to pin." And I'm like, "No, you don't have a child first. You first marry." So I'm glad that that was the case.
Depends. It's like all cases are different. We have met different founders at YC as well who actually met through YC co-founder as well, where one of the person had an idea and then they figured out who would be the right co-founder and then they went ahead. And then again, the idea also changed.
Yeah.
Anything is possible. Just be open to it. Communicate, communicate, communicate. I think so. That's the main thing. As much you communicate with people, connect with different set of people, you will figure out something or the other.
Yeah. Makes sense. Makes sense. And so you built the compliance piece at Rippling and mobility, you said, right?
A deal.
Like, what are some of the lessons from Deal and Rippling that you brought in to FirstWork?
Lots of lesson, I think so. I got the opportunity to work on global products at Rippling and Deal both, right? So ER product, multi-country. So we needed to support, like Rippling was just US focused. We needed to bring it to the world. So the hiring of a user, especially let's take an example of white collar worker, in US is different and in India is different. The set of information which you ask is different. The flow through which an employee goes is very different for different countries. So if a product is being built for US originally for the last 5-6 years and now you want to convert it into where like any country could be supported, it's difficult, right? And hence for each country we started building product. I built a big team where like lots of countries were added day in day out, right? Similarly for payroll was happening, similarly for compliance was happening. So that was tough, as in like you needed so much of engineering bandwidth, and if anything changes, usually it does not change much. If anything changes, you need to involve engineering into it. Similarly, at Deal had mobility product where we were supporting visas for 36 plus different countries, and there are so many different type of visas, and every country's visa is different from one to the another.
Right.
Of documents requirement, the process is also different. So again, if you build flows for each of those separately, it's like one product itself. Again, lots of engineering required to manage them and to make any changes in the future in them. Now coming back to frontline workers for FirstWork, here, within a country, every frontline workers are hired differently. The process to hire a courier delivery guy from a nurse to an agriculture person to a truck driver is very different. For a truck driver, you require details about their truck, the insurance about the truck, what kind of goods they can carry in the truck. For the nurse, separate set of licenses are required. CPR certifications is required. So that you need to validate, right? For agriculture, it's again totally different. If someone is working in the restaurant business, there you need separate licenses. So hiring every worker in frontline industry is different.
Right.
So either I have to just focus on one of these industries so that I can have a fixed product,
Yeah.
right? Or I need to build so many products.
Right.
So we took the approach of building so many products, but in a way where like engineers are not involved. So we build a custom object kind of a thing, which is what Salesforce and all the big enterprise players are based on.
Yeah.
Okay, where you as a user or a company can define your own flows. It's in a technical term, it's like to build to build something, you define a table in your database, right? And then you expose it through front end through a form and all those things. Very basic, right? Imagine you don't have to build the table in the database to support different products. That's what custom object is.
Like the Salesforce opportunity table, right?
So using that, the process becomes a lot easier, and then you involve the AI layer to it, because building that is tough, even one time. So it's more like a no code platform.
Right.
Because you're building those table, and then you will have to build rule engine so that you can define some rules on top of it.
Right.
And then you will have to build an automation layer where you execute some things on top of it. Right? So all these would be purely generic customizable.
Yep.
Right? That indirectly you cannot do it through coding. We don't want our users to be that heavy with the coding stuff. So we build a no code platform for it. Now the problem with the no code platform is as you add more and more functionality, it itself becomes a programming language, similar to complicated and becoming a programming language. How we are solving it? Now we are bringing the AI layer to it, where the AI will understand you and automatically build those systems for you. Okay.
I was literally gonna say that, like, there are so many systems for building agents these days that are drag and drop.
Yes.
And for someone who knows a little bit of coding, I would, for example, me, I would prefer actually, because Gen AI, I would actually prefer AI to generate stuff than move around mouse and click and, break my RSI hand. So was that the logic for you guys to move? Because of Gen AI, you saw that you could actually let the users not use so much of mouse and
Yes. So like it started with yes, let the user use it, but we took a very good decision, which is we will not let our clients build these workflows for them. That was the decision which we took. Okay. So it will be built by us. It will be built by, suppose, initially me, then we had an account executive, product manager. So engineers, we all were building it. So as we build, we understood like, okay, this is tough. So we added more functionalities. So it becomes better. Then we added more functionality. And then it becomes so complex that if I have created a workflow, I can only understand it. Someone else cannot touch it.
okay.
Right. And
Right.
that's where like we started building slowly. Like first we build the form builders with it, where like you type like you want to hire a nurse and these are the credentials which you want to check and this is the way you want your flows to be. Then automatically those form builders would be created for you. And then you add decision rules on each page. Like example, you fill a page, you tell the user to upload a driving license, and suppose that image is blurry. So there are many software still where like you can detect the image is blurry and you can tell the user, hey, please upload a new one. Right. Now there could be something else. Like example, expiry. If the document is expired, so as a user submits it, you detect that the document is expired, build some rules around decision rules around it, and tell the user, hey, your driving license is expired. Please upload a new one. Okay.
So this is a super heavy build for a young company.
Yes. Oh, for us, yes.
For you guys building the whole. And I remember from our earlier conversation, you said YC when you went in Y. So you went in YC with this idea, or this was a pivot?
We went with the idea of like HR tech for frontline workers only, but not the exactly like what product we wanted to build, like more on the AI side. So
Right.
when I went into YC, when we went into YC, I personally didn't knew anything about AI.
Right.
I was only a ChatGPT user. That's it. That's my level of AI understanding till that time. YC has like 75 to 80% of the companies as AI companies in our batch as 24.
Yeah.
So the first 1 month itself was very difficult for me. Everyone is talking about LLM, RAG, this, that, and lots of credits were given by so many companies around building LLMs. I'm like, okay, I don't need this thing because I wanted to build something like Deel and Rippling for frontline worker. I knew what I wanted to build. I had that planning in my mind.
Yeah.
Then after 1 month, it's like, okay, if I'm again building what Rippling and Deel built, even in this AI world, then it's wrong. I need to include this AI while building the core layer of HR tech.
Right.
And that's when it hit me, and I started learning more about AI, which was very easy now because so many people around me were experts in AI. So to get their understanding, and usually YC founders used to talk a lot in between, and then there were demos, so you can see what other companies are building. You get some ideas about it. Like so many other companies were also building in compliance, but they were not HR tech compliance, right? But it could be used in our HR tech as well. So with these learnings, actually, we little bit twisted where like the product would not be a normal SaaS product. It could have that AI agentic layer into it.
And so YC suggested you guys to hire a lot more than
Yeah.
what they ask others to do. Was it because of your lack of AI skills?
No, so I think so, just our first call with the partners after we arrived in YC. So usually you have it like every week. So our first week call, and we mention them about our idea, all the conversations which we had with the potential customers. We had one or two design partners at that point as well. And what is our vision? Okay. So this is where I think so I really feel lucky that I was at Rippling, because Rippling was the one of the first HR tech companies to actually bring this all in a one layer.
Hmm.
Before Rippling, if you understand the HR tech industry, one would be doing payroll, another would be doing insurance, another would be doing ATS. So all these HR tech products used for the employer were scattered across various segments. So like too many SaaS products, and then you need integrations out of these guys, right? And that integration would not be that great. Like an integration between payroll and insurance would not be good because both are different companies.
Yeah.
Rippling brought that thing like IT, HR, insurance, everything into one place.
Wonderful.
Now all your products are together, so the interaction becomes very easy. You don't have to go in the market and look for different set of products. The development time decreases significantly a lot, because suppose you are a payroll, you are an insurance, still you have to build the common layers, permission layer, login layer, then API layer. So all those things you are rebuilding if you are building it separately. But if you combine it, your hub becomes one where all this common code would be there, and there your spoke becomes all these specialized apps.
Right.
So to add on a new product becomes very easy,
Mhm.
right? So based on that, the whole market has now shifted because of Rippling, where like every HR tech company as a whole will have most of these products together, but except for the frontline industry. Still, the player involved in the frontline industries are independent. For ATS, there is different product literally.
Mm.
Even for different frontline segments, there are different ATS. Okay. So our first goal was to combine all these important products required in the frontline industry. Most
Right.
of the company in frontline industry, still their HRIS, which is source of truth of employee data, is Excel sheet. Still, for really tech forward companies also, right? So that's why we wanted to build this HRIS layer, and on top of it, like basically the hub, and then build all these small products on top of it, right? And hence it requires lots of engineering, build lots of product, and then only you can compete with like someone who is existing in the market for like 3, 4, 10 years. Then only you can compete with those products. And hence YC understood that, and they pushed us to hire more people. Another reason for that was my and Vardhan's experience in leading teams. Okay, that's why YC discourages companies to hire quickly, because most of them are young founders or like they don't have much managerial experience. And to start a company is tough. To hire a person is a lot tougher. And then to manage them is far more tougher. Right? Because so much of emotional things also comes into picture in these things, right? So
Especially a startup.
especially a startup, right? If the person is not working for 5, 10 days, also you feel that anxiety. Oh, what is happening? Is this the right hire for me? Did I invested 2 months to hire that person? Did I do the wrong thing? Will I have to
5 days.
again invest
If
2 months?
if he or she doesn't come online on Slack the next day.
And it's like, okay, are they in the company or not? Right? So lots of problems are there in terms of like hiring new people. But I think so YC understood that with respect to our experience and the product which we are getting into it, and hence that suggestion, and we took it.
Hmm.
And I think so that was one of the best decisions which we took.
So how big are you guys right now?
We are all a team of 18 people, where 13 are engineers, two co-founders, 13 engineers, one designer, one product manager, and an account executive. Right.
And you still code, right?
I started coding. Now I think so. Moving a little bit on the sales side, I'm still involved on the architecture. I do, I would say, bug fixes and support scripts. I think so that I was also doing at partially at Rippling and Deal, even when I was into the leadership role.
And so the stack you chose, which was we were speaking about specifically using AI and in the especially using AI in the enterprise segment. Now payroll is obviously sensitive,
Yes.
right? Numbers have to be right. AI hallucinates. And do you want to talk about how you tackled entering into this compliance heavy sector and what are the solutions and lessons from implementing that solution?
So yes, in HR tech, you need to be 100% accurate most of the time. Obviously, not all products are. There are human layer in between which creates issues. Hence, like so many payroll insurance issues still happen. Like as an employee, also you might be seeing like, oh, I got more money, less money, something wrong with my insurance, right? So obviously, systems are not 100% accurate, but the overall AI hallucinates, and you cannot have that in the HR tech. So hence, what we have done is we have built our own pre-processing and post-processing of the data wherever we use AI. So for building HR tech, it's not about you build like ChatGPT like system where you chat and you get results, right? That is not the solution for HR tech in terms of the AI. It's like still lots of process are manual in HR tech, even with such big companies in this space. There are bits and pieces where manual stuff happens. So a product starts, some manual stuff, then a product comes in between, then manual stuff, then product in between. These things have not been fully automated. AI fills that gap really well. So what we're trying to do is fill that AI gap right now.
And so, if I remember correctly, you've implemented two layers, one for getting answers from AI. I think what we were discussing was an interesting thread, which was for enterprise grade use cases, you don't need to leave a lot of room for imagination for the AI.
Right.
And you've built some. Do you want to talk about that? Why it's important and how products could be simpler?
Yes. So enterprise have lots of generative use cases, right?
Right.
What I'm talking is in case of HR tech, there are few generative use cases, but still I think so validation use cases are a lot. And these validations actually can happen on a document or it could happen by going to a website and validating few things there. Okay. So what we are doing here is OCRs have become very good. And then AI understands the result of the OCRs quite well compared to like generating few things. In generation, there could be a lot of hallucination, but when you are just understanding a document, so a document is known to be a very good data, but it's a unstructured data, right? Your
Okay.
system cannot use it. Your tech products cannot use it. So with this AI, what you can do is convert this unstructured data into a structured data with a very, very, very high accuracy, because here you are telling the AI to actually just give me the details of what you see rather than generate me some details.
Right.
Right. So there's a huge difference. So that's why the hallucination happens here is very low. And then you can have your post processing analysis as well. One small example of a post processing analysis, which I can say is example a driving license number. Actually, all driving license number for a specific country you can take have like fixed regex patterns. Okay. If you tell the AI, hey, this driving license number should have this regex, AI will hallucinate for some cases. But if you bring that data and then you process that regex as a software, it would be 100% accurate.
Right.
Okay. So you need to be very smart in where to use the AI and where not to use the AI. Like one very big use case at Rippling and like all HR tech companies are that people have slightly different names on different places, different documents. Sometimes their middle name is A dot or full name. Sometimes there is no middle name. In South America, there are actually like 4 words in every person's name.
Hmm.
Sometimes they use 2, sometimes they use 4, right? So matching these information was very tough in general from a product perspective. What you can build as a what code you can write to validate these things. Like example, Mike and Michael. very difficult for the code to understand, right? That's where you also bring AI a little bit here. If the users are okay with these things, you can train your AI to pass these kind of candidates. Like, so what we do is like rather than getting a name from a document and then matching it with respect to the name which you have in the code, it will fail. So there you could be a little bit smarter and you can tell the AI, hey, does this document belong to this user? Okay. In that case, you are just optimizing the product. So wherever the code, the traditional code does not work, you can add the AI layer to it. Because anyways, that was failing. Now you make it just a lot better. So it's not about being very fancy into bringing these AI products. You just need to be very smart in understanding where the AI power is and where the actual coding power is, and place them in the right set of places so that you can streamline your overall customer journey.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Enterprise accounts obviously demand a lot more custom work, right? As opposed to mid market. And what are some of the lessons in executing pilots fast?
As you mentioned, enterprise customers requires a lot of custom work, and that we have already solved with the custom object which I talked about, where whatever requirement they have, we can actually create a digital twin for them. We call it a digital twin. So example, you have information in your table models I'm talking about, or like APIs, right? Usually, if we are processing those details on our end, we will have our own models and then you need to connect it. And that's what the main problem is there with the enterprise. They have lots of data. And the client's company don't have the ability to process those data or to just even map that data. Example, like in payroll, this happens. We call it as the payroll import. So you are using one payroll provider, you come to another payroll provider. Their data set is different. These guys' data set is different. To even match itself, there are big products in the market. Like
Right.
merge.dev is there, right? So players are there to just make sure these information are correctly shared. And that's where FirstWork comes there. Like imagine FirstWork has zero database tables, nothing. Whatever you have, we can create a digital tool, and based on that, we could create our rule engine, our AI models, and everything.
Wow.
Okay, so that part becomes very easy for an enterprise to do. Second thing is SOPs. So all our clients have their own fixed set of SOPs because these guys are doing that manually right now.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Okay. So if you are having a customer support team, or if you're having a BPO team or a operations team, so you will hire more people to do more tasks. You will have a task-based system and you will create very deep, concise SOPs. Like, hey, if something comes up, you go left, you go right, right? So it's a proper tree structure kind of a thing with loops in between. That's a operational SOP. In engineering terms, we call it workflow, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we take these SOPs from them. I told you we have an AI layer where we automatically create those workflows for them. So first the data digital twin is created. Then with AI, we understand the SOP, build the workflow for them. Okay. Now you will say yes, from SOP to workflow, there would be hallucination. Fine.
Yeah.
You just need to validate it one time. You can do a human review. And
Right.
then it runs accurate perpetually. Okay. So in this way, we give them the information. The best thing is the process is already happening manually at the client. What we do is we take the digital twin, get their data, and we start sending them information, maybe on Slack. It's like one user comes, we validated that user, give them the information. Since they are already manually doing it, that information just goes past to the human person. So it's like, okay, AI made sure that this person is right based on these things. The human person will validate, it's good, correct. If say no, we train ourselves. We get this information, optimize the SOP sometimes, train the AI, and then you get the next results. So within 1 or 2 weeks, because it's an enterprise and so much of data is there, such information is being labeled, I would say. So kind of a data labeling is happening for us for 1 week, where we understand how our results are. So it's a lot easier process for the enterprise to validate because already human people are there who are validating it. Similarly, all customer support companies also, AI customer support also runs in the same way. Like they give response and it's validated by a human because humans are doing customer support currently for the.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, did you build this system with a few initial customers, or did you build it and then bag some
No, we
customers?
built it with an initial customers, obviously. So we had like one or two design partners, and all these are use cases where we were doing them manually for them initially. Then they are like, okay, let's build it a little bit more automated. Initially, the workflow was simple, SOPs were simple. Then they started making it more complex. Then they want to validate the user in some another website. So we added browser-based agents as well there. More complex document started coming, right? So as the users started giving us those critical feedbacks, our product started becoming very well. So one small example is initially our automation could only go straight, no branching. And that's what all initial workflows were. Okay. So no branching, that means we need to create 20 automations to actually do one SOP. And it was a nightmare then to move one thing from another. And then we started the branching part where like we just made it a filter, like basic branching. Then we did the complex branching, which is basically else if else, right? So then you added some prompt in between so that they can get the correct summary. And then we created jumps as well, where like if you branch, like example tree, you have tree structure, right? So now you have gone into this path, but there's a possibility like after evaluating this, maybe you need to jump at a particular place and evaluate the other things. That does not happen in most of the workflows. Like you connect, you can create multiple loops, but it then becomes a cyclic problem could be there where it goes into an infinite loop. So that also you need to solve by the DAG. So all these problems, as we started getting more and more problems, the solution started developing by itself, as the design partner mentioned.
And so, how did you recruit these first few design partners?
Like these were mostly through connections and reaching out through LinkedIn, but it's all top down approach which we followed. We knew that COOs or like the recruitment side of team or the operations side of the company are facing these problems. So somehow we connected with them. We mentioned about what we are going to build. Obviously, it took a lot of time. Like the first design partner, we were working for almost with them for 5, 6, 7 months. They're like they're just mentioning their issues and what they need. And it used to be like monthly or in a 15 days one call so that we can understand. Then we build. We actually closed them as in actually started processing their legit details after a pilot of like 5 or 6 months.
And that pilot was free or paid?
No, it was product building rather than a pilot.
Yeah, initially it was a product. So that
Yes.
was probably free then, yeah.
Yes.
Makes
And
sense.
then actually they started paying after 6 months. So, but we only tested on their test applications, not on their original applications, because again, till you sign the contract, you can't have the actual
Sensitive domain, yeah, makes sense, makes sense, makes sense. And so you went from managing 100 plus engineers to coding a little bit and then back to now sales and more of managing. We spoke about hiring. You've scaled teams both at Rippling and Deal. You said 100 plus people you were managing?
in that whole 2 years. Yes. So like
Yeah.
almost 30 plus 40 engineers at Rippling and like 50, 60 at T.
Right. How did you scale those teams? What were the lessons there? We also spoke about you earned a lot more with referrals than salary. Is that correct?
Well, what?
Okay, close enough.
Few
Not close
months.
enough, but good enough chunk. So how did referrals work for you? Because I think hiring is such a pain for people. What were some of the unique things you were doing where you were able to refer so many people to these organizations? And how did you scale those teams?
Yes. So in general, I'm a person who likes to talk with different people, especially with respect to tech.
Right.
After changing few companies, obviously you have your ex-colleagues. I kind of used to keep in touch with them. It's not like talking to them every day, but like 2, 3 months, every 2, 3 months, you ping few people, understand about what they are doing, what you are doing, you tell them, right? With that, what happened? You build the connections, and in general, in the market, everyone knows that yeah, Shubham is good, and he talks with you and all those things. And when you need them, as in when you want to actually hire them wherever you go, it makes your life very easy. So I started this with my first company itself, where till that time I was not connecting with so many people. So it became tougher for me to hire at that time. So the only connections which I had was the college. So
Right.
I actually had lots of college juniors in my first company, right? But once the company closed, and then I realized that anytime I would need engineers down the line, even if I'm a manager or not, because I will go to only those companies which grow very well. So I do a deep research, used to do a deep research before joining any company, right? So like if I go there, obviously if the company is doing really good, everyone loves to hire engineers, and you have to hire engineers so that you could build good products and you can become big, right? And it will be really good. And hiring is very tough. Like you hire right set of people, and then after 1 month you realize, oh, this is wrong. So that's the problem with the whole recruitment stuff in tech, where like the talent you require to code or work in a company and the talent to require to crack an interview are two different things.
Yeah.
I've seen lots of people who are really good in cracking interviews, okayish in terms of working in a company, and there are many which I have seen which are not at all good in interview, but they are very good at what they do.
Yep.
Okay. So to fill this gap, it's all about like if you know that person beforehand, if you have earlier worked with them, or one of your close ex-colleagues or friends have worked with them, that part becomes very much important. But it does not matter. It will not matter much if you reach out to them when you are hiring. Okay, so this is very much important. So if you are hiring today and then you start reaching out to people, you won't find the right set of people. They would not be that much interested because they just got to know about you, right? So the result might be okayish. What I follow is if you want to hire today, you should have talked to a lot of people 3 months back. There are mutual benefits with this. One thing I usually tell my people, okay, I would be hiring or my company would be hiring in the next 3-4 months. So be prepared. Okay. Now, mentally, they have this thing in mind like, okay, Shubham came and talked about this company and all. So they start keeping track of that company from that time, how the company is doing, right? Everywhere they will see that company indirectly, right? And if something is happening with them in their current organization, as means maybe they are not getting good projects, maybe they are not excited there. So they kind of start
Bad review.
mentally mentally preparing themselves that hey, there might be a case that I will go to that company. Okay. And when the actual time comes, and then I reach out to them like, hey, I told you 3 months back, or 4 months back, or 6 months back that we would be hiring. So now's the time. One role has been opened, and I would be very interested if you join. Then the percentage becomes very high because that person already knows a lot about you. It will take you less time to convince that person to get hired.
But these are not strangers that you spoke to. You already know them.
It could be few strangers, like connections of connections also I talked to.
How do you approach them?
Through mutual connections. So now what I've done is like because I've referred so many people, okay, and I've managed so many people, and they have their own set of connections, and then they have their own set of connections. So again, it's a multi-marketing strategy, right?
Yes, you have built a pyramid scheme.
Multi-pyramid scheme, right? So now in this way, like right now for my own company as well, it's not like I have worked with every one of them who are there, but some way or the other, everyone is connected somehow. Okay. So yeah, that's my strategy of hiring. That has been really good till now. The only little bit drawback for that is you won't have much diversity of people. So it could be like because my connections are from some fixed industry and their connections may be somewhat similar. So predominantly the group becomes biased towards few of the things like the technological stack, the way they work. So
Right.
those are the little bit drawbacks, but yeah, you could control those through the culture.
And so, are you doing anything actively for diversifying that a little bit?
Yes, I think so. Now that's the job of the people who are in the company as well. Now it's like, okay, I'm done hiring. I hired you guys. Now it's your responsibility to bring right set of people. So it's the same way. Like you have to delegate. In hiring also you need to delegate. As a managers, delegation is one of the toughest thing which a person has to do because you were
Hiring, yeah.
and usually before manager you are an IC, independent contributor. You don't delegate much. You're always like, yeah, I will do it. I will do it. And then you come to a management role where you need to delegate now most of your stuff, right? So in that way, you need to delegate that recruitment as well, where you train people how to get good referrals or how to bring right set of talents. By just delegation, it does not mean like they should know how to take interviews. That's one angle. But you should delegate the work of like connecting with other people to other people. So you're teaching them how to network. I always do that. I always kind of force everyone, whoever reports to me, that yes, figure out who are your friends at other companies. It can never be the case that you're not connected to 10 engineers. I did two happy hour events in Bangalore as well, where the only motto was to bring your friends who are into the tech industry. And when I did the first one, I hired two people from them. Like 40 people came, and then we hired two of them. So it's a very good ROI.
Wow, that is a good strategy. Happy hour.
Happy hour for 40 people will cost you
Let's do
nothing.
that when the next time you fly in. Let's do a happy hour. And so, between here and scaling those teams at Deal and Rippling, you've delegated the hiring as well.
Not till
Now?
now. Not till now, but yes, little bit. Like I've already started. So the next set of hires which I will do, predominantly most of them would be coming through the people who are already working.
Yeah, no, letting go of hiring is hard. I think I have not done it yet. I have always, for all my teams I have hired, the last team was 140 people, out of which I think 40 was under me, like under the wing, and yeah, I interviewed everyone. 40, 45, yeah.
Yeah, final small half an hour call you can do,
Yeah.
but overall reaching
Yeah,
out
overall.
and understanding their strengths and all, I think so. Need to little bit delegate it.
Do you do work trials or do you directly
No,
onboard
we
them?
don't do work trials, but we do give a work assignment. So it might take you like 4 to 5 hours to complete it. It's basically, again, the same thing. People are good at cracking interviews. They might not be good at actually working. So with this assignment, and this is predominant like the 80% weightage given to the assignment, like this is where we'll see if you are able to quickly take maybe some shortcuts. Okay. Be really smart about what you are doing, and how you are able to understand all the use cases. Have you missed? So it's similar to like how you will come to the company and work, right? So the assignment, which would be just 4 and 5 hours, not more than that. Few companies are doing right now like 1 week work together and all those things, but it slows down the hiring a lot. If it's okay if you're hiring like one engineer in 6 months, but if you're doing anything more than that, that thing might not work.
What do you think about these? Like, I have, especially in the last, I would say 2, 3 months, I've been reading a lot about 7-day work week culture in startups is the way to go. Like a lot of investors talking about, I won't name names, but a lot of leading investors in UK and US talking about any path breaking startup that is growing at a breakneck speed. They think, in their experience, they've all been working 7 days a week. What do you think about that culture, and what kind of culture do you guys have?
First thing is we are fully remote.
Right.
I don't want my employees to waste 1 hour, 2 hours going in the traffic to the office. So yeah, so remote works really help because a person can prioritize when they have to work and when they can spend their own time, right? In this way, there are cases where like few of teammates, they don't work, maybe it's on one of the weekdays they were not active, they had some other family work, so they might sometime finish the task on weekends. Okay.
Right.
So as a manager, not just right now as a founder, as a manager also earlier, I have never kept track of like how much hours someone is doing, how much leaves they are taking. Or the most important thing is how much work they are doing. So the quantifiable metrics should be work rather than the days or the hours or how much time the person is spending. Okay. Some people might be able to finish the work which you given to them in 5 days, right? Some people might be able to finish the same work in 5 hours. Another would be able to finish that work in like 9 or 10 hours. Like everyone has their own capacity, right?
Right.
So in this way, I think so. If a person is able to finish their work in 5 hours, great. Okay. And now that person has additional available time if he wants to pick up more things or research more about something, right? So such kind of people are there in our company who are curious about what they are building. So as they build, so it's all about like tickets are there, you have work and you take up new innovative things. We have some technical debt, so we'll keep the technical debt tickets. We'll have some experimental work. So if someone finishes us up early, someone does some experiment. Like I do all my experiments mostly on the weekends, but that's when I get some time. Similarly, there are a few people as well in our team who the experimental work we do on weekends, right? So there's no hard truth rule in our case where like you need to be present from this hour to this hour, or so it's all depends on the people how they want to work. Don't be restrictive, right? And once you are not restrictive, you need to little bit have checks also in terms of the work is being completed or not. That's it. Only one check.
And with AI in picture, how do you quantify what's adequate enough in
What's
terms of
adequate? So
workload,
yeah,
right?
the speed has increased a lot. Like as I told you, like I started coding up after like 2 or 3 years now, and my speed was actually like 2x, 3x of what I used to earlier code. The cursors and all the latest development in the packages itself, the basic packages which were involved for coding, have kind of drastically improved.
Right.
So and that's why the thing is within less than 1 year we have been able to build so much in just less than a year, which I would say 4 years back it would have taken me almost like 2 years or 2.5 years to build these things, right? So engineers take less time to build things now.
Yeah, and given the remoteness, how do you measure performance then?
It's about the work. You split your work into very small chunks. I think so. That is very much important. And then you keep track of how many chunks are being done by everyone. So we usually have daily stand-ups. We do 1 week sprint only, so that we could keep track of everything. If you do two, some people do 2 weeks or 1 month sprint. There you cannot track much, right? So I have this following this 1 week sprint from like both at Deal, Rippling, everywhere.
One
Because
week
we move
sprint.
fast. 1 week sprint, yes.
And so what do your ceremonies look like?
Usually, you don't have ceremonies. Like you will have it separately, maybe in 2 or 3 weeks, where if something is going very off. But
Right.
usually, in sprint planning, it's mostly about okay, small tickets were divided, single task there should be there, which could be completed in a day or 2 or 3 max. Okay, so accordingly, break all those things into small chunks, and then you can keep track of like how much work is being done very easily without even following so many different standards which other people do.
So daily stand-ups, and maybe because you're doing a weekly sprint, one sprint planning call every week.
Which is like twice the time of a sprint planning. That twice the time of a stand up.
Stand-up.
So we have
Interesting.
like 15-minute stand up and almost like half an hour kind of a sprint planning for a team, and divide the team into small chunks. So like already we have divided our teams into two teams.
Right. Right. We have reached the rapid fire or the control Z round S. I'm renaming it today. One advice you'd give to your first time founder self when you were.
Try multiple things very quickly.
Favorite book?
Favorite book? I'm not much of a
Reader.
reader. Conscious Business is one book which at Tripling it was kind of forced on all the leadership team, and we used to have book clubs around conscious business. I loved that book so much. I read it twice, and with the whole sessions being arranged, and then you become a coordinator as well, and then educate others as well. So I did that as well. So I would say everyone who are kind of like leaders. By leaders, I don't mean like you need to be engineering manager. As a IC person as well, you become leader in some sense, like the staff engineers or like SG3 or even an SG2 could be a leader if you're driving lots of things. So that book is very much important. It kind of tells you, even if there's a fight, only one person is required to actually solve it.
Hmm.
One person is sufficient to solve. So the way you take your next steps, the way you communicate, you can remove the differences. Conscious business.
A product, SaaS product, of course. Don't name a razor. A product you use every day that you love.
I think it's a ChatGPT right now. Recently, like in the last 6, 7 months, I think so. The memory layer of ChatGPT has been amazing, where it has been able to keep all the details which I share. So now to do any product research, what set of next product I want to build, is my product in the most optimized way, what should be the data tables, what should be the architecture, how should I sell it to the customer, all those things. I am just chatting with ChatGPT continuously because ChatGPT, my ChatGPT now understands me. So it's like a digital twin for me, far, far, far smarter.
I think I use it too. I prompted. So I read somewhere online, I think LinkedIn, and I prompted a project where I asked it to act as Bill Campbell, the advisor for Steve Jobs. And the problem I ran into was, I think 3 weeks ago there was this update they sent, which basically meant that ChatGPT started appeasing people. I don't know if you noticed that during that window, but they rolled back the release apparently. But I think things went downhill from there for my project, the advisory project that I was running. Because of that release, we tweaked the prompt to be more stricter. And now that I'm manually instructed to be stricter, the advice it's giving me is garbage. So I need to
Clean
see
it
if
up.
I need to roll back the prompt.
It's same as if you remember like Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn, right?
Right.
What are all the informations you like, you read, based on
Yeah.
that the algorithm starts giving you. And sometimes you become so fed up, okay, everything is garbage on my feed, and you need to just
Reset.
unsubscribe, unfollow most of the things, start looking at new things, and you just need to reset it. I think so. ChatGPT is also something similar.
Something similar, yeah. It is scary though how much it knows about you.
Now on ChatGPT, actually, you can connect your company's Google Drive.
Google Drive.
They will understand also. It's like a little bit what Glean, I think so, does. That is present on ChatGPT, where like anyone from the company can do it. The very good is you can share a communication thread of ChatGPT to another person of the company. Like suppose I did a lot of research on the architecture, I can just share that with another engineer, and he starts putting his own thoughts there. Both are able to see, and it continues. So that is
Oh,
another
that's a
one
good one.
aspect of ChatGPT which is really great. I don't need to summarize everything and give it to someone. They can see like what I have been talking to ChatGPT.
In fact, that's a brilliant use case. ChatGPT should add a group chat.
It is kind of.
No, but
It's not
technically
there.
it feels like so when you share a chat and they can message in the same chat,
I can see that.
you can see that, and
No,
ChatGPT
but
now.
it would be independent. Like someone entered a prompt.
Hmm.
They can mess up with my things as well. But I think so. It keeps it in the silo. Still
Okay.
not sure, but I've just not started doing it last 1 or 2 weeks.
Yeah, I've never tried that. Well, I think that was it. How do people find you?
I'm very active on LinkedIn. Do check out FirstWork as well.
Yeah. And are you hiring right now?
Not right now. I got all the engineers which I wanted, but as I said earlier, we would be hiring, so I would be happy to talk.
We both would be hiring. So if you're listening, reach out to us, especially to me if you're a full stack. All right, that was it. Well, Shubham, thanks for taking the time. It was a fun chat, and it was a pleasure having you.
Yes.
If you found this valuable, you can subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or whatever your favorite podcast app is. See you in the next episode.